Hi, I'm Mark Barnes. This is a description of my adventure replacing Schuberth's Sena comms. It's not quite brain surgery. Other aspects of Schuberth's helmet construction hinder the installation of alternative systems. I was determined to outfit my otherwise superlative new Schuberth with a great comm setup I already use in other helmets. Here's how I did it. First, a disclaimer. I have not personally evaluated the $349 Sena SC1 Advanced system that's supposed to go in my C4 Pro carbon helmet. That price would get me the main electronic module and its separate battery, each of which could be slipped into discrete compartments in the lower rear of my helmet's shell. Speakers, microphone, and antenna are already built into my helmet, and unfortunately its stratospheric MSRP. While it's possible to find some satisfied customers, a great many online reviews contain multiple and consistent complaints about this system, including erratic and limited functionality. For example, it lacks the latest mesh connectivity, and non-user-friendly controls. A complete cutting-edge system from Cardo, including control module with built-in antenna and rechargeable battery, speakers, and 2 mic types, can be purchased at close to the same cost or less than the additional pieces required to make the Schuberth's Sena systems functional. My Cardo unit happens to be a PackTalk Black, a special edition of the Bold model, which was recently replaced by the Edge and the Neo, all of which have been priced by online discounters in the $315 to $350 range. What follows applies to any of these and may also work with comparable standalone systems from Sena or other brands. In any case, it made no sense to me to invest hundreds of dollars in an unfamiliar system when I already own one I know works quite well. The only costs of using my existing Cardo in the Schuberth would be the $120 purchase of a second helmet kit containing speakers, mics, and control module cradle to allow quick transfer of the control module from one helmet to another, and the labor of replacing the helmet's pre-installed Sena pieces with these Cardo upgrades. Even if I didn't already own a comm system and had to buy a whole new setup, I'd still come out spending no more, and possibly less, than if I stuck with the Schuberth Sena arrangement. The difficulties I encountered had nothing to do with the electronics themselves, and everything to do with the Schuberth's idiosyncrasies. I should have expected helmets beloved by fans of a motorcycle marque known for its quirky and convoluted intricacies to share similar characteristics. But this is my first Schuberth, and I had to learn the hard way. Don't get me wrong, I'm impressed and delighted with my C4, but there is an obnoxious initiation for newbies to endure. Check your specific model's documentation for details potentially divergent from the sequence below. The C4's luxuriously plush interior appears to be a single integrated unit with no apparent fasteners. Arcane knowledge is required to initiate disassembly, not unlike lots of BMW bodywork. The process begins with undoing 2 nearly invisible snaps at the lower leading edges of each cheek pad, separating them from the neck roll. Plastic hooks nearby must be pulled from grooves between the EPS and shell to complete the neck roll's liberation at the front, and then it can be pulled out of the track it inhabits along the helmet's base. This includes wiggling free a wide tab from a deep slot at the rear. Now the real fun begins. First, pull apart the 3 deceptively conventional snaps holding a cheek pad to the EPS behind it. There's also a pass-through hole in the head pad from which the rear snap must be freed, and a Velcro tab along the eye port. Now unzip the pad's strap compartment to reveal the expected chin strap passing through, along with the surprise addition of an anti-roll-off system, Schuberth's Eros strap capturing it at one end and exiting the cheek pad at the other. This mounts at the shell's rear and limits the chin strap's forward range of motion. The chin strap must be carefully threaded out through each side of the pad and the Eros loop in between, a process complicated by the pad's very snug and offset chin strap slots and the snagging bulk of the ratcheting buckle and excess strap length adjusting and fixing points. The Eros strap is then removed through a narrow tunnel at the pad's tail. You'll need a tool to coax the Eros strap back into the pad. I used a flathead screwdriver inside the loop to push it through its orifice. Repeat on the other side. Finally, the head pad can be removed in a more familiar manner. Just undo 2 snaps at the brow and 1 at the rear. However, note this component is actually 2 pieces, with the uppermost part able to swivel a bit in relation to the lower. During reinstallation, you'll need to ensure proper positioning of this top section, both side to side and front to back, against the Velcro at the helmet's crown to avoid kinks or bunching. With the liner out, the smallish, approximately 30mm Sena speakers, which were completely covered by liner fabric, are readily visible in their Velcro-equipped pockets. Likewise, the mic, which had just barely peeked out from behind the left cheek pad, can be seen taped down along the lower edge of the left side EPS. The pre-installed antenna and wiring are all buried behind more tape and EPS panels. I chose to simply snip the wiring and remove the easily accessed hardware. There's no functional value in digging out the rest of it. Basic installation of the Cardo components is easy and straightforward. The speakers, which have Velcro backing, can be inserted right where the Sena units were, with no need to put the matching Velcro patches in first. Because the pockets are oblong, there's some room to adjust fore and aft speaker placement to best fit the location of your ears. I used Cardo's kit with 40mm JBL speakers and found the pockets just big enough to accommodate their additional girth. Larger speakers may pose a problem here. Also, since the pockets are deep, I used the included backing spacers to position the speakers closer to my ears for improved sound quality. Depending on your preference for mic boom length, the next step is to trim and apply the Velcro patches where you want to affix the mic's base and sliding bracket along the lower left EPS. Keep in mind, some placements may interfere with the subsequent fastening of the cheek pad snaps. You'll also want to consider where the boom ends up relative to the helmet's flipping chin bar to avoid contact during each opening and closure. With the speaker and microphone wires dangling near the eventual location of the control unit cradle, reinstall the multi-element liner going through the recently outlined steps in reverse order. The right speaker wire will traverse the top of the head pad. Because the neck roll slots tightly into its circumferential track at the helmet's base, the speaker and mic wires cannot slip between the pad and shell as you'd normally expect. Instead, they must pass between the neck roll and cheek pad, then arc back out beneath the former. This isn't quite as tidy as the usual arrangement, but there's no alternative without much more extensive modification of the helmet's parts. For example, opening a port through the neck roll, which would necessitate an additional hem to prevent fabric fraying. I can live with the wires as pictured. They don't interfere with ingress or egress, nor are they disturbed by same. Schuberth's interlocking neck roll design, along with the extraordinary width of the helmet's lower edge, prevent the use of a traditional comm system cradle's clip mount, which must slip upward into the helmet between the neck roll and shell. Hence, the glue mount option, included with most systems, must be used instead. The adhesive involved is very strong to avoid loss of your comm unit while riding, so make sure you put the mounting plate exactly where you want it on the first try. Removing it for repositioning may damage your helmet's finish and compromise the adhesive's effectiveness. The cradle location must be far enough back from the chin bar to avoid interference with its operation, but also far enough forward to allow connection to the speaker and mic wires, as well as comfortable access during use. Also, be careful to avoid placing the adhesive plate on a compound curve, like the subtle flare at the C4's lower edge, with which the plate may not maintain full contact. The Cardo plate has some flex built into it to accommodate a helmet's broad curvature, but sharper contours will leave portions of the adhesive floating above the shell surface. Once the adhesive has completely set, allow 24 hours to be sure, snap the cradle onto it, connect those wires, and tuck the excess back in between the neck roll and cheek pad. The system is now ready to receive the control module and provide comm services far superior to those of the SC1, at least according to online reviewers. If this is your first time performing surgery on a Schuberth, allow at least a couple of hours for this project. It's much more time consuming than comm installation in a traditional lid. Be patient and remember the payoffs for such a complex interior are exquisite comfort and above average protection from wind, weather, and noise. With a premium comm system to go with your premium helmet, you may be happy to forego the quick installation and streamlined profile of the bespoke electronics.